So far, it's been exhausting, but very rewarding. You know, it's a massive responsibility to take on a character so known around the world and so iconic, and to try and conclude an origin story for her in a satisfying way. So it was a very immersive, hard-working time. And now that it's finished, and it feels very proud. Well, the whole game is really it's the end of Lara's origin story. So it's really taking her from a very younger person, immature, inexperienced, and seeing her grow over 3 games and becoming, we say, the Tomb Raider she was meant to be. What does that mean? Is accepting the responsibility of her pursuits and her interest in archaeology and stuff like that has a human impact as well. And it's learning that maturity of that human impact and the responsibility of her own actions. She's someone who's becoming a very, very powerful person, and she has to realize that that power can have an effect not only on herself, but people around her, and in this game, the world. And she needs to take that responsibility and make sure that she's not damaging the world. The initial idea, if you look at the last 2 games, Japan is kind of gray and ocean and cold, and and then we went to Russia, Siberia, then it's like even more gray, and we wanted to get away from gray. So the first impulse was color. Let's get something summer, green and just a different color. And then we wanted to go back into classic Tomb Raider. What is an iconic setting? And the jungle was an obvious setting. So having the jungle, we kind of explored other options, coming to a myth, because we need to have at least a myth to start the exploration of the story, and that was Paititi. So we took Paititi and said, what can we do with this that's new, that's original, that's different? And then we came up with that question: what if we merged some cultural ideas together and said, what if people, Mayas from the Yucatan, went all the way down to Peru, and they are the basis of this Paititi myth? What if that was true? And then we kind of dug into all that. So that gave us enough information to make it feel researched and grounded, but still be completely fictitious. That's the genesis. So all of the DLCs are happening in parallel to the main story. What we wanted to do is not do something at the end. I don't know if you guys have played the game, but at the end of the game, it's a conclusion of this arc of this story. So we wanted to add richness to the world, and as we were finishing the game during the summer, we had feedback from playtesters and stuff like that, and a lot of questions that one of them we answer in the Forge. The first DLC is, there's this character named Abby. I want to know more about her. What's she from? So this one is about going into her background, and she thinks she's Peruvian. She thinks she's Inca, but maybe there's another connection. Maybe there's other backgrounds of her heritage that she doesn't know about, and that's linked to the challenge tomb in here. So we wanted to add more personal depth with the characters in the game that would add a richness to the comprehension of the story, but not change the story. So we're adding depth.
So the story part of the DLC is about 1 hour long, depending on how you play, obviously. Because we've had people finish the tomb pretty fast, but also some that take the time to get the grasp of the environment and everything. But it's about an hour. But then what's interesting about the DLCs is that we've made sure to add a lot of replayability into it. So once you finish the story parts, you get your rewards, you get your skill, your outfit, your weapon. You can go back to the main menu and play the challenge room in co-op or solo. But you have those extra modes that we've added for time attacks and score attack, in which we're kind of compelling the speedrunning community to go and keep those modes alive and make sure that the timings that we've set in the dev team, like we think we're pretty fast. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get destroyed once the DLC comes out and people actually get their hands on it and try to get to rank number one on the leaderboard. So we have all those modes, and it's almost doubled with the addition of co-op, where we've designed the tomb in a certain way that, while being the exact same environment, the exact same puzzle, we've designed it so that in co-op you are able to discover more ways to solve the puzzle, more efficient ways, and get to discover new paths that are not available in solo, because you need that co-op, that cooperation, that's synchronized gameplay to be able to access alternate paths and be able to work on step 1 and step 2 at the same time and be even more efficient. One thing, the way also it's presented is that if you buy the DLC and you start a new game, then you'll see that it's not a quest that's only available once you're done, once you finish story. It's a story. So since the story of the Forge is about Abby, it's a character that you meet in Kowakiako, the first hub of the game. Once you've done that first introduction with Abby and you've discovered the first few mysteries with her, that side mission now becomes available. So around the first third of the game, you get to play the DLC mission, and it's a logical follow up of now you know Abby, and it's now time to have a bit more of adventure with her before continuing the main story. So it presents itself as a regular side mission once if you start the game from scratch.
To me, Lara is such an iconic, classic character. I think the interpretation we've done over the last 3 games is very different, but still recognizable. And it's something like a comic book character or a James Bond or something like this that can get rebooted. It's always now. Lara Croft is always happening in the present, and I think it's always going to be reinterpreted. It's such an iconic, classic thing. So where it goes exactly, I don't know, but I'm sure something that's going to be great.